It took me quite a while to organise all of my thoughts, but I really wanted to post this video today, so happy Bakchiku Gensho. I've typed up a script, so if I keep looking away, that's why it's very obvious that I've typed up a script, so I thought I would mention it. I became a fan of Aachan in August 2013. I still remember that night because I was in Poland on summer holiday, staying at my mother's old house and using the worst internet known to man to watch as many Buktik PVs as I could in one night. When it came to a favourite member, there was no doubt in my mind that it was Aachan. In other news, I am still so head over heels in love with Buktik. I heard Beauty on the second day of school and I realised what an amazing song it is. I love Atsushi's voice. Man, he is just amazing. The stuff he does with that voice gives me shivers. He's my Atsushi. He's everyone's Atsushi. I actually regret listening to Buktik first because now everything else sounds shit. Kind of a shame really, but why should it be? I'm happy I got the best first, to be honest. The day that Aru wa Anaki was announced, I saw it on Facebook in 2014 and I was sat in my living room with my laptop in front of me. Another insane thing that made all the valves in my body snap tightly against each other and spasm until they are knotted thoroughly and every muscle to set dead and freeze and my heart to doki doki through the roof was the delicious Buktik deciding that in the middle of mocks on a Monday before the Kyari concert would be a good time to release a new album. I literally could not breathe for 10 minutes when I saw it on my Facebook feed. The next half an hour was burying my face into my turtleneck and breathing in heavily. I couldn't afford to buy Aru wa Anaki at the time and I didn't really understand how online shopping worked at all. So in the end I just downloaded the tracks from someone that had uploaded them illegally onto YouTube. Luckily I was able to redeem myself finally after all those years this November when I bought Aru wa Anaki in Tawa Records. Now I have every release from the time when I started being a fan of Bakchiku all the way to now. In 2015 I finally started using CD Japan and that's where I bought my first two Buktik albums, which were Memento Mori and the Catalogue 2005 compilation album. My dad's car had a CD player, so I'd always bring my CDs with me whenever we went on long trips to play in the car. As a result of this, Bakchiku were always ringing in my ears in a random service station on the motorway or a dilapidated church in Worcester. They would just follow me around these sleepy British countryside towns and I really started to associate Bakchiku with Britain in a very strange way. After that, every time that Bakchiku released a new album, I would wait until my parents had gone to bed and I would play the album from start to finish in that room over there on my dad's huge sound system. I stayed up until 3 AM, initially setting out to download K-pop and J-pop, but ended up getting lost in Buktik videos again. You know they played National Media Boys on the 2014 tour and Steppers Parade? I am outraged. I really want to see this handsome 50-year-old man who I've been in love with for years. I swear I must go to Japan, even if it's just to see Buktik. I will do it, or else my life won't be complete. I've literally heard at least 70% of the music they've done, maybe not that much because they've been around nearly 30 years and a lot of super amazing albums have been out since they formed, but I still deserve to see them live at least once, right? I love Aachan so much it hurts. I started my A-levels when I was 16 to 18. This was a very depressing and lonely time for me because I had basically no friends because I moved to a new school to do A-levels and my relationship wasn't really working out for me, but I was in denial and delusional, so I ended up just hurting myself a lot and really turning into this super introverted person, and I ended up sinking so much of those 2 years just learning about Bakchiku through interviews and translations and watching hours of footage that I didn't even understand just because I liked listening to Aachan's voice. I learnt so much today, mostly about Buktik, but about Schwein and Shaft as well. Aachan was really ridiculously good looking during the Schwein years. His voice is also especially beautiful, and the auto-tune is a really refreshing sound. It's nice with his voice, in my opinion. Oh my gosh, I had 2 frees today, and I literally spent the whole time on This Is Not Greatest site, and I read through so many lyrics and learned so much about French poets and theatrics and cabaret and all sorts. The author said Aru wa Anarchy was probably the most reference-loaded album ever, and wow, yes, I agree. It's full of these amazing lyrics and references to lots of literature and European stories. It's too much, it's so complex, like there are so many references that they cross over and span for miles in different songs, and every single thing Aachan says can be interpreted sexually somehow. Like, whoa, there's so much to absorb and learn from this group, and it's so exciting. Like, I feel like I'm so intrigued by all of it, and it makes me so happy that such a band even exists. And I know there are tons of other groups this cultured too, and it's wonderful. I'm super happy, and reading the concert reports makes me very hot and jealous, and I want to go so bad, but I feel like I won't fit in. I think you would need to be an old-time fan of Baktuk to go to a concert. I mean, it's too late to start going now because you're not in the know. Okay. I am emotionally attached to this group in a way that I have never been. I gotta see them in real life. Please come to UK! It was that year that I made my first video about them, which is where I went to Kilburn to find where they recorded Taboo. I'm really happy that so many people saw it, and a lot of people that I know on Twitter now tell me that they've also gone to that place, so that's really nice. J-Rock News even wrote an article about my video that was huge at the time, but so embarrassing looking back, because like, oh my god, half the places aren't even the right place. I got it quite wrong, but I've amended it now, so if you haven't seen that video, don't watch it, just watch the new one. When Number Zero came out, that was the first live that I watched the whole way through from start to finish, and it made my resolve to see Baktuk even stronger. Oh, I wonder if the trans PV is still up. That's an underrated Baktuk song. But anyways, unfortunately this slight bit of Baktuk sent me on a bit of a spiral, and I watched a lot of videos after that. My heart cannot take loving these men anymore. Like, after watching a lot of interviews and lives and finding the Turkey documentary, Baktuk getting accosted by Turkish children is the best, and Aachan looks really incredibly beautiful. I came to a decision. I'm gonna have to get myself to Japan this year to see Baktuk. Whether it's Parade Fest or Day in Question, I'm gonna try my best. I'm old enough to push myself, get a job and go for it, so I'm gonna do it. As long as I stay positive and don't lose all my energy and motivation, I actually might be able to do it, or at least earn some money. Imagine if I actually did. I think I'd die, honestly, but I just want to do something really big before I start uni, and maybe this could be it. Although tickets are probably going to be sold out, and where am I going to stay? Who's going to come with me? I swear it's a bit late to make this whole plan because we have like 4 to 5 months. I don't even know what I'm doing, but maybe if I find a good job and save up, I could actually make this happen. Let's actually try my best, and even if we can't, we will someday. And then there was 2020. I had just graduated and I had so little money that I couldn't afford to leave the house, but I bought Abracadabra as soon as it was released. Then in 2021 I got my first full-time job and gradually set about planning my first trip to Japan. Japan's borders were still closed, but the announcement of Parade made my resolve so strong. So strong, in fact, that I finally decided to join Fish Tank for the first time, because for the first time in my life I finally had a stable income. That year I really felt like I had become part of a community of foreign fans who helped me so much, and seeing everyone go on their own adventures that year and the year after that made me so happy. I applied for the lottery for the Saturday and Sunday of Parade 2022 that was held at Yokohama Arena at the end of September on a vague promise that the government would open the borders sometime in autumn. Time passed, and what followed was the most stressful month of my life as I woke up, checked the news straight away, waiting with bated breath for the announcement that the borders had opened. I even booked my flights for that week just in case there was a chance that it would happen, but the closer that the date of parade came, the more it looked like it wasn't going to happen. In the end, the borders didn't open until October, and that was the saddest that I've been in a long time. I couldn't even check social media because my fear of missing out was so great. I couldn't even refund the tickets that I had won for parade. It was then that I spontaneously decided to locate another Vaktiku piece of media, this time in Oxford. That was probably one of my favourite days of the year. It felt like my birthday. I had so much fun and it made me feel connected to Buktuk in a way across space and time, even though I couldn't actually see them live. Finally, I decided to apply for day in question Finalo at Budokan on the 29th of December. And the first round of lottery I lost, but the second one I won. Went straight to sleep for a couple of hours and awoke at 11 feeling very sick and nauseous, and then I checked my email because I won the Fish Tank Loan Media Portable Lottery. I won one ticket for Baktiku's final show at Budokan. I won. I just cried and felt this feeling like I've never felt before, and I was so sleepy and sick and dry and weak, and wasting away reading that message was like setting light to a corpse. Seeing the word winning ticket made me feel so relieved and full that I just cried. We made it this far, we can go even further. I flew to Japan on my own for the first time on the 22nd of December at 24 years old. On the 29th, I came to Budokan super early to queue up for the merch and came back for the start time to be let into my seat. And then the moment was upon me. I could barely breathe from crying non-stop throughout the entire live, as you know. Although I was so far away, I could still see Aachan's face on the screen, and I don't think I've ever seen a more beautiful person in my entire life, in all universes. The announcement of Taiyo to Ikaros and the new tour in 2023 came at the end of that live, and I sat there thinking, what if I go? And surely, as the new year came, I decided to apply for Izora tickets. No matter how much it would cost, I knew that I didn't want to wait anymore. I'd been waiting for so many years, as you can tell. I'd been waiting years for this opportunity, and nothing else mattered to me in that moment. I had nothing to lose. So in Buktuk news, I'm going back to Japan in June to see Izora. 4 dates. Gonna skip Kanagawa, and literally cannot contain myself. Have never been this excited for anything. My heart is a what? My heart is a balloon that keeps getting fuller and fuller. I feel like I might burst every time I listen to Taiyo to Ikaros. A perfect single, and Namonaki Watashi is just lovely, and Loop is already giving me shudders. This new single, quite frankly, sounds just perfect and exactly the type of music that is just feels like it was made for me, Lamau. They really said, oh, Pan's coming on this tour, let's write soft and flowy and heart-wrenching ballads just for her. We know what she likes, we've got her. And that's how I indeed feel. Looked after and cradled in the arms of these 3 songs. Gently held, it's wonderful. And with that, I'm absolutely in shreds over what's going to be in the album. Izora came to my house the day after release, somehow. Thank you, CD Japan. And it was instantly one of my favourite albums that I've ever listened to. It felt so complete and quintessentially Buktuk, and I couldn't believe I'd be hearing it live literally so soon. Imagining how certain parts would be played by Aachan, how he would dress, how they would arrange the set list, and what other songs they would add. It was so exciting. Izora is brilliant and makes me feel alive, gives purpose to my life, makes me feel so good and conjures up so many images in my head, and it's just gorgeous and deep and complex. It's so good. I adore all the songs, and them being put together makes me so excited. It's fantastic. I love it so much. Lovely. I am brimming with excitement. I cannot wait at all to see these songs live, see Sakurai perform them and inhabit them. It's going to be brilliant. Tayo de Ikaros became my song that spring through a few difficult moments in my life, and I didn't expect to bond with a song and an album in such a short space of time, but before I knew it, it became a part of me. I bought a rail pass so I could see Baktuk in different cities and visit their hometown, and what followed was the best 20 days, and seeing Izora live for the first time was euphoric. Watching and being present for the progression of an album from its genesis to being announced, from PVs to being released to merch being announced, and watching other fans react at every moment and being able to react with them and seeing the tour unfold in real time was the best thing ever, and I felt so at the center of everything that I loved. After I came back home, Baktuk announced a second wave of lives as part of the Izora tour, as well as fish tank only lives. I decided that I had to go because it was my first chance to go to fish tank shows, and the thought of Izora Alternative Sun was so exciting because what on earth would be on this tour? So of course I applied for the fish tank lottery and I won 2 fish tank tickets, and I didn't have enough money in my account to afford the Alternative Sun ticket, so even though I won, it was rejected because of my account not having enough money in it to afford the ticket. So I had to ask my friend to buy me the ticket on general sale when it came out. In the next few months, that postponed Aichi live had to be postponed yet again due to Aachan being sick, and that worried me immensely. Following this, the announcement of Issei's passing threw me into such a state of panic, and I have to admit that the first thing I thought of when I heard the news was Aachan. All I wanted to do was see him as soon as possible. Baktuk announced that they would be live streaming the Takasaki tour final of Izora, and I didn't decide to buy the ticket until the day of the stream because once again I had no money left, but I decided I had to do it just to see Aachan. Seeing that live felt painful. To me, it seemed, I'm not sure if I was projecting my own thoughts onto Aachan, but it seemed to me like he was carrying something very heavy, and yet I've never felt relief like that. His performance that night was insane, and every moment felt like he was laying himself bare. I couldn't stop crying again the entire live. I had my phone with me to keep watching on the way to meet my dad in Tesco's, and I caught the last song standing in the middle of the supermarket as they showed the trailer for the new Baktuk documentary film that would be coming out in the following year. I felt like my head was going to explode. I've never felt happier or more excited thinking that the next year, 2024, would be even better and even more filled with incredible things from the band that doesn't stop for one moment, and the man who I love the absolute most is truly infinite in what he can do. And I realised how everything they've done leading up to this moment has hit me so hard. On the 19th of October, I woke up to the merch announcements, and when I checked Twitter I found out something had happened last night and Aachan had been taken to the hospital. I took one of my photo cards of him out with me that day just because I wanted to have him close with me, and I started talking to him instinctively as if he was there. I'm not sure why. I think I was feeling anxious and I was trying to calm myself down because none of us knew what was happening. I thought, if they have to postpone or even cancel the dates, to make sure Aachan rests well is all that I want, and everyone else felt the same way, and we were all worrying together and trying to reassure ourselves. That weekend I left to go on a trip with my parents to Halifax on Sunday until Tuesday. I remember I played Abracadabra in the car for its healing powers and to ward off all the evils in the world. It was Imai's birthday, and I got to eat his favourite kind of breakfast that he'd posted about having in London. I'm glad that when the news came I wasn't at home. I feel like I can just lock that day away in this little cottage in the northern English countryside, and I never have to go back there. I'm glad I was with my mum. I had to leave London a few hours later, so I managed to get on my train home, and after talking to my friends over call, we could calm each other down a bit. And I played A Dog in the Parallel World Orchestra live until I fell asleep, and I caught my flight the next day. I knew that even though I was making this trip alone, I didn't feel lonely. I felt like I was at the centre of it all again, and I started seeing Aachan everywhere in places. Though I couldn't listen to any BT by myself, I heard them everywhere, including my own head. Every day a new song would get trapped in there. It felt like losing him over and over and over. It was something that took me a while to get used to. The next time I saw him was in Osaka. It would have been my first fish tankers only. I wanted to say thank you to everyone who filled all those banners to the brim, and the staff who had to work an event like this. I felt like I was being reborn over and over again on this intense high of grief last month, letting everything hit me to the maximum and not even giving myself a chance to feel neutral. It was only extremes. I've never cried so much in my life. I feel like I try not to cry in front of people. Somehow this time I couldn't help myself. I wanted so badly to hear everyone else talk about Aachan, and I've gotten to meet so many brilliant people thanks to him, and I think there are people I've met who remind me of him in a way. Last year I went all out for his birthday, and it was one of the best days I've had. It was so fun just to plan and organize everything, and I was in this very room, and it feels very weird to be back in this room in the same year. Aachan's birthday was always one of the most important events of the year for me. It was something very precious that I always tried to celebrate in some small way. It's the day! Hottest ikemen of J-Rock and best cocktail head boy's birthday. The sacred Tuesday, and I have most of the day off. I'm so happy I was able to be here for Aachan's 50th, and now I'm here for his 51st. That feel when you're more excited and you have more planned for a 50-year-old whom you've never met before's birthday than for your own. It was a bit of a struggle, especially the eyebrows, but an hour later I was able to recreate a perfectly realistic Aachan face. Had a good time and took loads of selfies and watched the beautiful Cosmic Dreamer tour, which is a very good DVD. Oh my gosh. Aachan. How many times have I written Aachan over the last week? I love you, Aachan. I don't have a lot to say that I haven't said already. I strongly believe it was my destiny to find you. Thank you for guiding me through my teenagerhood. You and BT mean everything to me. I don't know what I would be without you, Aachan. I'm grateful for everything you've become. You inspire and put me in awe. You are truly beautiful in every way. Please keep doing what you're doing. I've never been more in love with you than I am now, and my feelings can only grow. I can't believe you exist, really. You make me so happy. You've honestly made me as a person, and you continue to inspire me and get me through this life and death. It all ends with Aachan. Anyway, so I'll see you in person one day. I promise I will see you, so please wait for me. Drink all the tequila tonight. Until next year, I hope life brings you nothing but pleasure. I want to write more, but I don't know what. Happy birthday, Aachan. Boys, it's Aachan's birthday today! I actually forgot to even mention how much effort I put in. Oh my god, I was making cheesecake all Monday night, and last night I stayed up to draw him. I was watching Darker Than Darkness live and witnessed Aachan play sax for the first time. I can't tell if he's good or not because there were too many noises going on at the same time and they all sounded like they could have been saxophone, but boy, he looks so weird and cool with it. Like, it's a different person. So cute. Oh my god, I was so emotional. My boy is so grown up now. I'm so happy today. It's crazy. I'm so happy for Aachan. I got up early and took photos of my cake and listened to Parade just spontaneously because I brought it down and I started crying. It's so beautiful. Why must it be so perfect? Why, oh why? I had steppers stuck in my head all morning. What a tune. So many beautiful arts. Oh my god. And everyone did a moon theme. Likely why Loki why I did a moon for mine as well, because of Moon Sayonara wo Oshiete. So cute. I literally went through it liking every single one. I totally love seeing everyone's fan art, and all of those art of my favorite person in one place is so nice and makes me feel complete and so happy. It's the best and makes me feel like we're all celebrating together. I wish so badly that we could have seen him grow older and peacefully retire. But in the end, he was our Icarus after all. You know how I said I've never been more in love with Aachan until now? Well, now my love and respect for him has actually reached such a high point that I can't even see it. It's gone into space and that's it. If I live not knowing any other celebrity person, I will be content with knowing Aachan for the rest of my life because there's still so much I don't know about him. Thank goodness Aachan gives us an intimate view of his life and experiences through his music, and the rest of BT too. I can't stop thinking about Aachan. He is so just, why is he such a person? He's so human and so alien at the same time, and I love the way he exists in between the two. If I don't get to see him before I die, then it'll be a life wasted. How can I be so much in love with someone that I've never even seen before? Aachan is the most important person to me that I've never met, so I'm so happy for this man. When I fell in love with you 4 years ago, Aachan, I didn't think I could love you anymore, but here we are. I was over that phase in my life because of my boyfriend. But no. Aachan is eternal. I genuinely can't. If I'm reading this in the future, I want to ask myself, do you still love Aachan as much as this? You best, even though it drives you crazy and even though you can't see him. But hopefully you would have seen him by now. Okay, maybe not, but I don't know where all this affection can go. Just keep loving Aachan because you two are kindred spirits and you belong with this fandom so much. Okay. Yeah, ganbatte. I love you. He's literally transcendent and I loved him 1,000 times more after I came to that realization, and especially lately it feels like he had another breakthrough into his even truer self after he changed the way he dressed and the way he sang and the kind of stories he told. Suddenly made us realize that he was that same person doing those things all along. The version of Aachan as Hizumi-chan will always stay with me, and across the whole of his career you can definitely see her influence and this idea of a distorted gender and sense of self. The only members call that I ever made was for Hizumi-chan. I called out her name with all my might before she came on stage at the last live that I ever got to attend myself, and even though I regretted it straight away because I've never felt so embarrassed, and I was thinking, was that the right thing to do? Should I have done that? But in hindsight, if I didn't, I would never have made any members call at all, and the idea that she might have heard me trumps any kind of embarrassment that I would have felt as a result of doing that, and I still can't get her out of my mind. She showed us all the dirtiest parts and the most desirable parts and the ugliness of love and oneself. Over the years, I think Aachan kept revealing more parts of himself in this way and reflecting in on himself over and over and over. And every time Aachan switches into a new character, uses falsetto or moves in a certain way, it genuinely makes me lose it because I'm so delighted that he's doing that. He is such a creature that, despite everything, kept getting more and more beautiful every year. And I think out of all the versions of Atsushi, I think I loved the most recent one the most. Despite that, I feel like Aachan in the 80s was something completely different entirely. You can tell how Bowie's Kyosuke Himuro really influenced Aachan's energy and his style and the kind of clothes he wears, but I feel like that Aachan was already so unique, and there's just nothing I've heard that is better than punk bakchiku. I genuinely don't think there's anything quite so purely fantastic. I genuinely don't believe it. My favourite songs from that era are Sissy Boy, My Eyes and Your Eyes, Dream or Truth, One Night Ballet, Capsule Tears, Oriental Love Story. All of those albums are, to me, perfect. I put together a little 30-year anniversary fetus years / origins compilation just to be annoying and have some quality punk jamming. Aachan's voice is beautiful. Back then it got hoarse a lot quicker when he had less stamina, but he still kept pushing himself and singing with all his might, and Imai is the same old Imai. The songs during Seventh Heaven and Taboo era were actually very sophisticated in their concepts. So many too. So many I forget how hard the Cocktail Boys worked. Sometimes Aachan sounds almost like he does now, but sometimes he sounds so young and fresh, and it's such a really angelic voice, so pure and soft. A sweet but lovesick boy's voice who wants to shout and scream until he's exhausted, as well as cry and sing to the girl he loves. As Aachan has grown older, he's aged so much and thrown into dark places. You can sort of match this with his vocal progression, and his voice is just as beautiful, if not more so, because of it. I love this man so much. That boy from the late 80s and early 90s is such a distant creature, the same but opposite of Aachan now. It's actually so wonderful to look back at him, and there is a very, very big part of my heart that belongs to the raw and energetic and honest-hearted punk boy from all those years ago. Thinking about watching Aachan and Kiyoharu on Monday still. That live was everything. The little harmonies and kisses and touching. My heart. I wish I was more familiar with Kiyoharu so I could appreciate it more. And I noticed that all the bands and musicians who performed old songs from the 80s and early 90s, nothing from the last 15 to 20 years, from 2012 and further back. And I realized that they probably all chose songs that they heard when they were kids. Songs that mean a lot to them because they might not have made it yet in their field, and seeing a band like BT became a little bit of their inspiration. I think Kishidan are all styled like Bosozoku gangs and delinquent types, and they probably were like that too. Aachan might have represented them in that respect because he was just like them, a brooding rebellious delinquent who gave up school for music, and seeing someone like Aachan be who he was might have been inspiring. I'm guessing that because of the songs people chose, and I think it's significant that Kishidan picked a punk song but a soft romantic one. It represents them well. Aachan's incorporation of art and artists always made so much sense and felt like it built such a rich tapestry of images that surrounded Bakhtik, and it aligned so heavily with my own interests because I'm always interested in classical art and modern art. I never draw the same person more than once. I'm a very, very singular-minded artist. Once I've drawn someone, that's kind of it. Aachan is most definitely the person that I drew the most for every birthday, and recently I started drawing him whenever I felt like, even though it's not that many. Earlier this year, I participated in this really cool fanzine project. I drew this piece in Louis Wain's style. Louis Wain is a very famous Victorian illustrator, and he's known for the way that he draws cats. And I based this piece on his alphabet book series, and it's one of the only drawings that I did of BT like all together. The journalists who wrote the closing section of Aachan's Ongaku no Hito interview that came out a couple of years ago, I think the names are Eriko Ishii and Yuku Okada, but if that's incorrect, I'm so sorry. I was so surprised reading that and reading these like profound statements from people that I assume are journalists, and with surely this very dodgy translate, I'll just read them out to you now. He is an artist who transcends age and gender. He is overwhelmingly beautiful, mysterious, and charismatic with a demonic gravitational pull. It goes without saying that his live performances are amazing, as he raises his right hand as if he were the king of the underworld, and with one finger he can suffocate the audience or effortlessly pluck out their souls. However, when it comes to interviews, Atsushi Sakurai is humble and quite shy, and his lack of self-confidence appeal makes Atsushi Sakurai especially attractive. I feel like he's finally becoming unrivaled in his cuteness, kindness, and strength. People who have had burns or surgical scars on their skin sometimes decorate the scars with tattoos. They make the raised scar look like a rose stem into a zipper, made a snake figure crawl onto it to look like trick art, and carve scissors under the removed breast. You can see a positive message about how to live beautifully in the future despite the events etched into your body. Rather than cover up the indelible scars with clothing, they deliberately make them come out and display them. I remembered Atsushi's lyrics. It reminds me of that person's smooth, flowery appearance and the words that fill his whole body with creation. Sometimes the words sound like a heart dripping with blood that has just been gouged out. He sings while wearing many masks, trying to display the scars on his heart rather than hide them. There is such a strength in that singing voice that it makes anyone, even him, walk through the darkness and into the light. Thanks to them, we can find hope in the midst of despair and learn about sadness that is imbued with beauty. When you look at dazzling music, your ears are happy and your eyes are happy. It's much more inseparable than we think, like a rose that blooms from a scar. When I saw him with his arms outstretched, exposed to the wind with his back lit, I often felt that this person is being crucified in our place, die on stage over and over again. I've always been so afraid of death. I'm prone to having panic attacks when I get a little bit too existential. Knowing that Aachan was just like me and that his fear of death consumed him so often, but the fact that he was still able to let it wash over him and write about it and sing about it, it gives me at least a little bit of strength. Hearing Aachan talk about Koi, which is the B-side to Go Go BT Train, in his Ongaku no Hito interview, the song is about people in his life that have passed away that he felt a lot of affection for and that he loved so deeply, and it's about the loss of those people heading towards heaven. It sort of passed me by at the time, but listening to it again, I don't think I've heard Aachan sing more beautifully. No matter how much we think we loved Aachan, I don't think it's possible for any fan to love him as much as he loved everyone else. On the day that the news came, my head was just spinning out of control, thinking about Magumi, Takanori-san, Kiyoharu, Raymond and Sasha, Hiroshi. Whole bands like Diru and Ziggy and literally hundreds of people who all had their own relationships with Aachan and who not only did they love him but were in turn loved by him. After all this time, death is still something that I can't accept very well, but I think Aachan has made me realise that there is no death if there is love. Love, no matter how small, is infinite, and the love that we all have for Aachan makes him immortal. This planet that we're stuck on was surely too evil for him. It always was. But he stayed to look after us and to tell us stories so we wouldn't feel lonely. I knew that one day I would have to face this, but I never thought it would be now. I feel so selfish that I desperately wanted more time with him when some of my friends never got to see him once. I feel guilty that despite the devastation that was caused by that typhoon in June, the only thing I can think about is that one seat that was the best seat I had ever gotten that was stolen from me. It really did feel like it was over so quickly and I was only just getting started. I'm truly so lucky that I found someone so perfect for me in my lifetime. The world that I got to see through Aachan's eyes and the sound of his voice alone was enough for me. Imai, Hide, Uta and Ani for looking after Aachan, thank you. It really hurts to imagine what his life would have been like without you around him, and whatever you decide to do in the future, I will follow you until the ends of this earth. Even though this dream came to an end, I can always go back to sleep. And to me, 10 years ago, you found someone so special and I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and please have a good 2024. I'm extremely sentimental, as you can tell, so if you have any thoughts about Aachan, no matter how small, please tell me, and I'll see you next year. I love you. Bye. 見えるかい子供たちを歌いながら君に似てる愛だけはそこに